Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 5, and today we're taking a look at the 2022 Gordon Murray Automotive T.50, or the GMA T.50, just for short. So yeah, this is a car that started production in 2023, with 100 being planned and a further 25 racing versions also being planned. Now Gordon Murray himself had a long career designing race cars for Brabham, from the early 70s to the mid 80s. He then moved on to doing designing race cars for McLaren, and then he moved on to designing road cars for them. And the big car that he designed was the McLaren F1, which is obviously a legendary car, the world's fastest car for a very long time. And yeah, there's a lot of design features from that car that have carried forward to this one, but there's also been a lot of elements that have been moved forward just to make it a not just a spiritual successor, but also a much better car in its own right as well. So yeah, the big difference between this and one of the noticeable features of this is the rear fan that we have here. So it's an 8.5 kilowatt 40 centimeter aerodynamic fan powered by a 48 volt electric motor, which basically provides a huge amount of extra downforce to work in tandem with the diffusers and this air scoop on the top of the roof there, which as you can see travels all the way down towards the spoilers at the back. And yeah, basically this all works in tandem to provide the maximum amount of downforce possible, because at the end of the day this is only a rear wheel drive car, much like the McLaren F1. And much like that car, it's also got a 6-speed manual gearbox, a naturally aspirated engine, it's got butterfly doors, it's also got the central driving position with 2 people being able to sit either side of you. So in terms of practicality, this is more practical than a lot of hypercars out there. And yeah, it's got a pretty decent interior overall, as you can see. It's got cameras for the side mirrors, and yeah, it's all very nicely done. But at the end of the day, this is a car that is worth well over £2 million. The racing versions are worth well over £3 million, and that's before taxes are involved. In terms of the front, we've just got a little bit of stuff for your looks like your window washer and your oil maybe. But yeah, the party piece is the bit at the back, which is the engine, which, as you can see, is like an old American car with its side hoods on the back there. But yeah, the big party piece is a naturally aspirated 4-litre V12 engine producing 655 horsepower and 344 pounds-feet of torque. Now this is an engine you will not find in any other car. It has been made just for this car, and it's been done by Cosworth, who are a legendary engine producer, and they've done many great engines before. And yeah, this is a fantastic engine, quite frankly. And as you can see, you've got your battery and whatnot in the side saddle there, and then you've got a bit of storage in the other side there as well. So yeah, it's a great looking car, to be honest. Overall, as you can see at the front, it does look like a modern version of the McLaren F1, but everything else looks really rather quite different, especially the side profile and obviously the rear with the big fan and the 2 exhausts aligning it. And yeah, I really am a fan of the way that this looks, but I'm even more of a fan of the way this drives. So let's get out onto the open road and see what this car can do. So like we've seen with other cars on this game, you have 2 different modes you can choose from. So you've got the high downforce mode, which is self-explanatory. It makes basically means you've got all of the downforce that the rear diffusers, the spoilers and the fan can produce to make this car as good a handling car as it can. But then you also got the V Max boost, which as you can see will now change the spoilers to go down, and it will also change the configuration for the fan and whatnot. And basically this means that we have a reduction in drag by 12.5%, so that just makes it faster at the top end. So yeah, let's nonetheless see what we can do on this drag strip, and then we'll hit the track. So yeah, it's pretty good off the line. And yeah, the gears are actually surprisingly quite long. That's no surprise given the kind of engine we've got going on. And there's 170 miles an hour. Now I've done that in the high downforce mode, and we've not gotten quite as much speed as that. So let's actually just do that as a test, just to see what this car is capable of in the highest downforce mode, just so you can see the difference. Hopefully I will be able to get into the exact same position as before. Yeah, as you can see, the spoilers do also act as air brakes, which are also useful. Pretty sure this is where I started, maybe a little bit back. Yeah, there, right. Let's switch to high downforce, launch it properly, and there we go. So we got up to 170 or just about there before. So what are we going to do with the high downforce? Now obviously downforce only plays a really big part once you're going properly quick. Yeah, nearly 5 miles an hour slower there, so it definitely does make a difference. Not just in terms of the handling being better, but also obviously makes a difference in terms of, you know, lowering the amount of speed you can get, the more speed you do gain. Obviously the acceleration and whatnot isn't really going to change, but the overall speed that it will. We're going to keep it in the high downforce mode because we are getting to the track. And yeah, this car in high downforce mode basically handles like a flea, or a fly even. It's just goes darts whichever direction that you want. Right, so let's look at it in rivals mode. So we're nearly mid S2 class, so extremely high up. These are one of the most higher in terms of classes that we've reviewed lately. So yeah, there we go in terms of the stats. So the speed, handling, braking and launch are all excellent. The acceleration could be a little bit better. I'm not sure whether or not the numbers for this game are a little bit underestimated, but yeah, the acceleration isn't the best for a car of this kind of weight and amount of power. But I feel that at the end of the day, it's not about pure acceleration with this car. It's about being able to maintain the speed as much as possible, no matter the corner. And obviously that is going to be possible due to the amount of downforce that this car generates. So yeah, that's that seems to be the main, you know, focus for this car, is handling while being able to maintain a great deal of speed. So yeah, let's nonetheless hear what this car sounds like, and then we'll talk about it some more. So yeah, this sounds absolutely incredible. You know how Ferrari were screaming about how their engine their car, the F50, was supposed to be a Formula 1 car for the road, but it wasn't. It was nothing like a Formula car for the road. It didn't rev anywhere nearly as high, didn't sound anything like one, didn't go like one or anything like that, but this genuinely feels more like an F1 car for the road than that car ever did. And that's primarily because of the engine, which as you can see revs up to 12,000 RPM, which is hilariously high in terms of revs. Doubt you're going to find any engine that's going to go rev as high as that outside of a motorbike. And yeah, it sounds incredible, and yeah, it absolutely packs a punch. It's not got the most torque in the world, so yeah, it does struggle maybe sometimes out of certain corners or maybe up hills, but for the most part, yeah, you've got plenty of power, a decent amount of torque, and yeah, the gearing is suitable for pretty much every kind of track or kind of road condition you can get. And the acceleration is ballistic as well. 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds, 0 to 100 in 5.982 seconds, and depending on what mode you have, you can be going from anywhere between 220 miles an hour and 232 miles an hour. So yeah, really rather quick in terms of top speed as well. Obviously not quite as quick as the McLaren. We're going around for another lap because I'm enjoying this so much. Obviously not as quick as the McLaren, but that's just because it has more downforce. Even in the VMAX mode, you know, it still produces more in the way of downforce than that car ever did. But yeah, like I said, I don't think top speed is this car's priority, because if it was, it'd have more power at the end of the day. But to be honest, it doesn't even have that much more power than the original McLaren F1, so it's clearly more about, like I said, maintaining as much speed as possible through any corner that you've got going on. And yeah, it's really good at that because it's got fantastic turning. There's very minimal amount of understeer, and yeah, when you're in the downforce mode, you can guarantee that the rear end is not going to step out. It can step out if you want it to, or if you push it properly hard, but at that point you're probably going to crash more than anything. So yeah, just a quick look at the interior as well. As you can see, you've got a nice looking, what looks like an analog rev counter, but you've got digital speedometer, and like I said, you've got those digital cameras as well for the side mirrors. So yeah, fantastic car, to be honest. I can see why a lot of people have been wanting this car in a game. Now it is actually also in Forza Motorsport. You have to buy it though in there, but with this game it's part of the Secret Santa, which is basically where people gift as many cars as possible to get up to a certain percentage. This was at the 50% mark, and this car was ultimately unlocked earlier today, maybe late in the early morning, so yeah, it was available for me as soon as I woke up, I believe. So yeah, it's part of the Secret Santa, so it will be in your gift box, so get out there and get it if you haven't already. It's a superb car. Looking forward to seeing what the final car in the Secret Santa is. Apparently it is an Aston Martin of some variety, but regardless, I really like this car. I'm glad it's in the game, and yeah, look forward to seeing me race it around in Forza Motorsport in one of my racing, racing at a certain track in a certain car series that I've been doing. So yeah, where you can probably hear this even more in even greater detail in that game. But nonetheless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.